designate. Good to have you on the show, Honorable.
Thank you, Karen. A very good morning to you and good morning, viewers.
You were in Kololo ceremonial grounds this week when the State of the Nation address was being addressed. I wonder whether your expectations were met before you went to Kololo and after you left Kololo, whether you left the same or disappointed.
My expectations were extremely met. Canary, President Museveni is one of the most consistent people that you can meet and know. Throughout his campaign, throughout the whole year and years, maybe dating 40 years back, his message has always been anchored in social transformation. And for me, that was the key message that he delivered, social transformation. But this time round, asking other leaders to pick it up, take it on, run with it, without excuses. And there are 4 pages for me which are key out of what the president said in his speech. He repeated the same message 4 times, the same message 4 times. Canary, when someone makes a repetition, there is a reason, there is a message. You are the ones in the communication industry. Repetition has a message. Someone is trying to say, listen, get it right. Now, you open the president's conversation or that State of the Nation address on page 2. He said exactly the same thing. He repeated it on page 9. He repeated it on page 15. He repeated it on page 21. Let me summarize it for you on the first page. This is what the president said. He said, page 1, which he repeated on the other pages I have said, this is a call for no more, number 1, sleep. Stop sleeping, Ugandans. Number 2, he said, no more corruption. I mean, we're all fed up. Who is not Canary fed up of corruption? Number 3, he said, no more kukongola. That is now, he went in one of our native languages, and he uses many languages. But I believe when I say no more kukongola, many Ugandans understand. It's really laziness. Stop leaning on your hoe while someone else is working. He said, no more obusikuzi. No more kugumaza. No more kuhuzia. Yeah, don't divert somebody from the focus they're on. No more kuhenda. You're up early and working. There are people who are still sleeping and doing nothing, but they expect to be partakers of the same resources of this country. They're not contributing tax to it. They're not contributing anything to it. But when they fall sick, they expect the government to look after them. They expect to use the same roads you are using, who is contributing tax to it. So he said, don't kuhenda, no more kuhenda. Then he said, no more politeness. So it's time to talk the facts. You may like to hear it or you don't want to hear it, but it's time to talk the facts.
After 40 years, one might wonder what took him so long to realize that people have been sleeping on the job.
Canary.
People have been taking away allowances to extend social services to the people. People have been kukongola indeed.
I don't think it has taken him 40 years. If you look at his trajectory, he has always had interventions aimed at making a social transformation of every Ugandan. Let me just again give you a bit of that history. It's not like he woke up today to say, let's start doing this. He started way back, if you look at his manifesto of 1997, it had Entandikwa. Entandikwa, you recall that? That's 1997, it's not yesterday. It's 1997. Most of you were kids. Some of us were still in secondary school. But he was talking about Entandikwa. This is the season where Uganda was getting out of all the chaos of insecurity. And we're starting to say, now let's work. In 2001, we started off with NADS. In 2013, we went into OWC, Operation Wealth Creation. In 2022, we went into BDM. So it's not like he's waking up now to say, we need social transformation. He has been at it very consistently.
I hear you, but these concepts do not sound new. When he talks about Kisanja, no more sleep, he's referring to corruption, he's referring to laziness, he's referring to complacency and absentee leadership. These are not concepts that are very new to this government.
Canary, we have to ask ourselves.
You've just been appointed Minister of State in charge of Labour. You're going to encounter a number of public servants in the same ministry you'll be working in who work from morning to 12 p.m. When they move out at lunchtime, they leave the coat hanging on the chair and never return. But at the end of the day, they're paid a salary. Absentee leadership. He was agitated and said he gets nausea when people ask for allowances to go and reach the people, and gives an example of him riding a bicycle to go and check on people in his early days. This after 40 years, imagine the fundamental change now to Sanja, no more sleep, the gap in between there. One would wonder, why now?
Canary, that gap is not with the president. It's with you and me and every Ugandan. It is you and me and every Ugandan. Because the leader has said this for the last 40 years. But you and I have failed to pick it. You and I have failed to do it. I'll tell you this. I have worked in government all my life. I've worked in public service. I started my practice in the office of the DPP. I moved to URA. I moved to UNRA. There's one difference I could tell you I have met in these places I worked in. When I worked in DPP, it was the normal laissez-faire government public service mentality, which you are defining and describing right now. That needs to change. And that must change. I will tell you this. To hang your coat on the chair, the coat is not going to perform. It is you who must wake up and do that work. And the reasons I left public service then was exactly that, because I was never a suit meant for that kind of lay-back, laissez-faire life. So I went into a government sector that demands accountability. You deliver according to the expectation of your performance agreement. Mark that word, performance agreement. Now, the challenge we have had as a government, and I think this is not absolutely the president to be blamed, is where is our performance target? Who monitors that performance target that I, the employee, has actually scored on what I agreed to do at the beginning of my performance appraisal or annual year? We must now, each one of us, begin to look at that. Not in just the public sector, but from your home, You see, in your home, start demanding accountability. If we are in this home, what are we doing that is making a contribution to the well-being of this home? Where I grew up, we used to look after animals. If you could not look after the big ones, you looked after the calves, the small ones. You had a responsibility. Hard work breaks no bones. But are we keeping that in our home before we begin to blame the public service sector? What the president has been singing is that every home must have an income. This country has got 80% arable land, Canary. 80% of our land can be used for agricultural production. But do you know how much we're using? 35%. After the 40 years of saying, please work, please, here is the seed, please work, 35% of that land is under production. I mean, God in heaven should be waking up with a huge cane to beat up every person he has given a resource who is just sleeping on the resource. Why do we use 35% instead of the 80%? In the area where I come from, people work hard. They really dig. But the math is missing. You producing 1 acre of maize, the input is equivalent to exactly what you're going to get out of that acre. Now, what the president is saying is, now wake up leaders to be social transformation agents. He cannot be in my village. He cannot be in everybody's village. But there is a chairman in that village. There is a LOC3 in that village. There is a chairman LOC5. There are people who are paid as extension workers, who have gone to school, whose entire job and purpose is to make sure they transfer this socio-economic transformation, which he was talking about what he did in Nyabushozi.
Okay, let's bring in the opposition chief whip. Honorable John Baptist Nambeshe joins us live. Honorable, many thanks for joining